Time to talk some lightweight rowing with Joshua Freitas. And Josh, for you and your teammates, the fact that you have an opportunity to compete on Friday coming up, what does it mean to you and your teammates, considering you really haven't had a full appetite of schedule since 2019?
Yeah, so that fact is it's been really strong for us, and the fact that we're looking forward to just getting out there and really crushing this race. Because I mean, we had the 4 races this season, but this is going to be the first serious competition with somebody that we would have raced in 2019 that we've had in a very long time. So it's huge, and it's what we've been looking forward to since we started training at the beginning of this year. Back when it was just we had to train in separate groups and we weren't in the boathouse at all. So it's really a huge culminating moment for all of us.
Let's go back to what you just talked about there, where, you had to train differently. Things were significantly different than normal. Just what was that like? And what was that preparation like, trying to, give yourself a chance to be at peak efficiency? Because there was a time where you didn't know if you were going to be able to compete, one day to the next, let alone one weekend to the next during this COVID-19 period.
Yeah, so that was one of the most difficult things about this entire year was just we knew we weren't training at the capacity that we should have been, and we knew that we could be going harder. And it was difficult because the facilities were all right there, and we had the desire to keep training, but there were just those restrictions, those precautions we had to take. And, in a way, it might have kind of hindered our development. And there's always that question, like, where would we be at if we didn't have to do that? But ultimately, I think it made the team stronger, and we kind of recognized how the value in having each other to train with, and of course having all the facilities and all the equipment to be able to use to its full extent.
Is this a situation where, as a person, not even a student athlete at the Naval Academy, with all the challenges that it presents on a daily basis, even when life is regular, but was this one of those periods where, maybe you find out a little bit even more about yourself and your ability to maybe be there for others who might have needed a little, help in a situation like this? Because I'm sure this has affected everybody differently over the last year and a half there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that, it really brought out the best in people. It brought out the worst in people. And I mean, by the end of it, you can kind of tell who's going to have your back and who isn't, because there are just situations where it's really rough. And the only thing you have is the guy next to you. So when it comes down to that moment, you could tell who was going to stay and who wasn't.
As a competitor, the fact that you get to compete on Friday, and I know your schedule's obviously been hurt by the fact that a lot of the teams you normally compete with, most of the Ivies have sat out a lot of the last year and a half, but the fact that you get to compete one more time coming up this weekend, how much does that get the juices flowing here, and really even almost ramp up that anticipation even more? You got 2 more days to wait until you have this competition.
Yeah, the anticipation is the worst part for me. I'm just looking forward to taking that first stroke and just getting out there and trying to kill it. And when we talk about it as a team, everybody gets a little bit emotional. Because despite the fact the Avies aren't there, we don't really care. We want to take every stroke as it comes, and especially after spending this entire year like questioning whether or not be able to do it, we just want to go out to that course and put down the fastest time we can, regardless of who's watching, who's competing. So that's what we're going for.
The sport's obviously meant something to you. I mean, you competed obviously at a high level even before you got to the Naval Academy, and as you've competed here, how much have you even been able to raise your level of execution even more in this sport through the competition here at the Academy?
Yeah, so for that, I got to look back to my plebe year, because that was when the competition was the fiercest for me, obviously, since we didn't really race last year, and then this year was kind of different, but the growth was exponential that year. And then I owe it all to the coaching staff. That year it was mostly James Sands that was working with me, because I was in the lower boats. But as I got older, I started working more with Coach Bagnall, and they just know exactly what they're doing. And if you're willing to listen, they will tell you what you need to do, and all you have to do is execute that. So just like I was able to, perform pretty well in high school, but relative to where I'm at now, that's kid stuff.
You mentioned a key word there. This is an institution that prides itself on developing leaders. Sometimes is maybe the most underrated skill of a leader, listening a little bit. Everybody thinks you got to be a talker. You got to go in the room and you got to be, talk and motivate people and tell people you do this, you do that. But sometimes it's maybe the most underrated skill of a leader is listening.
Yeah, so that's actually a big. No, I wouldn't say problem. I think it's a good problem to have, but how do you lead leaders, right? We're all supposed to be leaders, and like you said, everybody wants to have the spot, not necessarily have the spotlight on them, but they want to show that they can take that initiative. And for me personally, I feel like sometimes it's better to just not sit back and let somebody else take the reins, but if there's somebody that seems to know what they're doing in the particular situation, you can recognize that they're more cut out they know more about the job than you do. Yeah, I think it's definitely good to be able to listen.
Josh, great stuff. Appreciate you taking some time for us. Best of luck to you and your teammates Friday in New Jersey as you try to end this really long campaign, a really long 1.5 year period on a real positive note. Appreciate the time today.
Thank you so much, sir.